It was a bright morning in downtown Chicago, and the sleek, glass-walled headquarters of Quantum Solutions buzzed with energy. The state-of-the-art building was a hub of innovation, hosting hundreds of employees who flowed in and out of the bustling lobby. The air was alive with the sound of quick footsteps, friendly chatter, and the occasional ding of the sleek elevators. At the security checkpoint, Daniel Clark leaned against his podium, scanning the stream of employees entering the building. Dressed in a crisp uniform with a name tag gleaming on his chest, Daniel exuded an air of smug authority. He enjoyed his position, particularly when it allowed him to challenge those he deemed suspicious. For Daniel, it wasn't just about enforcing security, it was about asserting control. David J. Morales stood outside the revolving glass doors, adjusting the strap on his leather satchel. Dressed in a tailored blazer and dark jeans, David had an unassuming presence. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his face bore a warm but focused expression. It was his first day as the newly appointed CEO of Quantum Solutions, a role he had earned through years of hard work and groundbreaking leadership in the tech industry. David had specifically chosen to dress modestly, believing in humility over pomp. As David stepped through the revolving doors, he smiled politely at the receptionist and made his way toward the security checkpoint. Daniel's eyes immediately zeroed in on him, his expression shifting from disinterest to suspicion. "Hold it right there," Daniel barked, raising a hand. David stopped, tilting his head slightly. "Good morning. Is there a problem?" Daniel's eyes narrowed. "You need an employee ID to get in. Where's yours?" David opened his satchel and pulled out a visitor pass. Holding it up, "I'm David Morales. I'm here for a meeting." Daniel's lip curled. "A meeting? Dressed like that?" "Sure you are." David raised an eyebrow but maintained his composure. "I'm the new CEO. Today's my first day." Daniel let out a sharp laugh. "CEO? Nice try. Buddy, I don't know how you got that pass, but you're not fooling me. CEOs don't walk around looking like you. Now, unless you have a real badge, you need to leave." A few employees passing by slowed down, their curiosity piqued by the exchange. One discreetly pulled out their phone, recording from the sidelines. David took a deep breath. "I understand this is unusual, but if you check with the board or reception, they'll confirm who I am." Daniel stepped forward, his tone turning sharper. "I don't need to check with anyone. I know when someone doesn't belong, and you definitely don't belong here." David's jaw tightened, but he stayed calm. "I assure you, I have every right to be here." Daniel sneered. "Right. I've seen guys like you before. You probably think you can slip in and grab some freebies from the lounge. Go on. Get out before I call the cops." The murmurs among the gathered employees grew louder. Several exchanged disbelieving glances, clearly recognizing David from the company-wide announcement about their new CEO. One bold employee whispered, "That's him, isn't it? The new boss." David held up a hand, signaling to the crowd that he had the situation under control. Turning back to Daniel, he said, "I'd prefer not to escalate this, but I'm not leaving. I'd like to speak with a manager." Daniel's face reddened. "Oh, I'll get the manager." "All right, and they'll escort you out themselves." Daniel reached for his radio, preparing to call for backup. Before he could finish, a voice rang out from across the lobby. "Mr. Morales." A sharply dressed man in his 50s hurried toward them, his expression a mix of urgency and horror. It was Edward Klein, one of the board members who had been eagerly awaiting David's arrival. David turned, offering a polite smile. "Good morning, Edward." Edward stopped in front of him, extending his hand. "Welcome. We're so excited to have you here. I'm sorry for the delay. We've been preparing for your orientation." The color drained from Daniel's face as he processed the interaction. His hand fell away from the radio, and he took a shaky step back. The crowd of employees watched in stunned silence as Edward gestured toward the security checkpoint. "Everything all right here?" Edward asked. David turned to Daniel, his tone even but pointed. "I was just explaining who I am, but there seems to have been some confusion." Edward's eyes darted to Daniel, his expression hardening. "Confusion? Mr. Morales is the new CEO of Quantum Solutions. How could you not recognize him? Daniel stammered. He didn't look. I mean, Edward cut him off, addressing David with an apologetic tone. I deeply regret this. Mr. Morales, please let me personally escort you to your office. David nodded graciously. Thank you, Edward. As David and Edward walked toward the elevators, whispers rippled through the lobby. Employees who had witnessed the scene exchanged incredulous looks, while others discreetly shared the recording of the encounter. Daniel stood frozen, his face a mix of embarrassment and dread. The receptionist approached him, shaking her head. You're in trouble, Daniel. Big trouble. By lunchtime, the incident had gone viral. A video of the confrontation titled, Racist Guard Stops New CEO on His First Day, spread across social media, sparking outrage. Comments poured in, condemning Daniel's behavior and calling for systemic changes in corporate gatekeeping practices. In a private meeting later that day, Edward and the HR director informed Daniel of his immediate termination. Your actions this morning were unacceptable, Edward said sternly. Not only did you disrespect Mr. Morales, but you also undermined the values this company stands for. Daniel, now pale and sweating, could only nod. I didn't know. That's the problem, Edward said coldly. You didn't bother to find out. Meanwhile, David addressed the company during his first official meeting as CEO, standing in a large conference room filled with employees and executives. He spoke with poise and conviction. This morning's incident highlights an issue far bigger than any one person. David began. It's about the assumptions we make based on appearances, the biases we carry, and the barriers they create. I'm not here to shame anyone, but I am here to say this. We can and must do better. The room was silent, every eye on David as he continued. Respect, inclusion, and accountability aren't just buzzwords. They're the foundation of a successful and equitable workplace. Starting today, we'll be implementing mandatory diversity and sensitivity training for all employees, including contractors. Together, we'll ensure that everyone who walks through these doors feels valued and respected. The room erupted in applause. Many employees felt a renewed sense of pride in their company, knowing their leader was committed to real change. As for Daniel, the fallout from the incident forced him to confront his actions. Out of work and facing public scrutiny, he began attending community workshops on racial bias and sensitivity. Though the journey was uncomfortable, it was necessary. Slowly, Daniel started to understand the impact of his prejudice. Under David's leadership, Quantum Solutions became a model for diversity and inclusion in the corporate world. The lobby, once the site of confrontation, became a symbol of progress. David's story inspired not only his employees, but also countless others who heard about his calm and dignified response to injustice. Through it all, David remained true to his values, proving that true leadership isn't about power. It's about creating a space where everyone can thrive. And in the heart of Chicago, Quantum Solutions' sleek headquarters stood as a testament to the transformative power of respect, resilience, and accountability. What can you say about this story? Let me know in the comments below. If you love this story, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Thank you for watching.